Happy holidays and welcome to the New Flat Rate podcast. For contracting business owners who are looking for, can I say more? Looking for freedom in their business, a culture shift, a money shift, and above all, better ways to help your customers and technicians succeed. That's why we got into this business, isn't it? To help people. Today, we've somehow gotten a hold of three really cool people. The president of the New Flat Rate, the founder, and the vice president, Danielle Putnam, Rodney Koops, and Matt Koops, to give you their best Christmas advice, how to stay present, and how to prioritize what's important during the holidays.
So Danielle,
Yes.
how do you balance work and family and all of that? What's the whole work-life secret?
I'm really glad you asked because I've been sitting here holding in the answer. Like I actually have stumbled upon something that I feel is so valuable and helpful. I want everybody to know. And some of you have maybe already heard me say things along this path on recent podcasts and things. But if you write down a daily affirmation, in the morning you get started, you come into the office, everybody's busy and bustling, close your office door and take just a minute to write a daily affirmation. And it could be something like, I want to spend more family time together, with my family, or my company's going to reach X amount of revenue this year. Whatever your affirmations are, your goals, your aspirations. Maybe it's that you have a hobby, you want to do more fishing. So, hey, I fish X amount of times a year. Whatever that daily affirmation is, you write that down and do it again tomorrow. And then the next day. So say 7 days you've been writing down this affirmation and nothing changes. But at 30 days after you've been writing down that affirmation, or 45 days, you're going to realize, wait a minute, I care about fishing or spending more time with my family, but I have not been doing it. And once you realize that and it clicks, then you're going to start changing your activities and your habits. So you start scheduling your tasks around moving back to what you really care about, so that you're spending more time with your family or spending more time fishing versus just always getting sucked into the busyness of your business. So to me, here it is, the holidays. It's a great time to reflect of what do I really care about? Because at the end of the day, say we are in business and we're working our tails off for 50 years and we look back and we're like, wow, we grew a great company. That was great. But did we miss out on what was really important to us and what we actually were passionate about? Did we miss it?
Quick little tip, stay tuned to the end of the podcast for story time in the field, the part of the podcast where contractors tell their stories.
That's a good answer. Matt, how about you? How do you balance work and life, work and family, and what do you do?
I'm a workaholic.
All you have to do is just write stuff on a paper every day.
I know, right?
It really worked.
I can see how that works, and I've done a lot of that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to small business owners, most of us are workaholics because we talk about a work-life balance, but yet we've created in our mind this belief that we really believe. That's why it's a belief, that our company is our baby. And so when we go to work every day, we get excited. Even when we're depressed and sad and stressed out, we're still excited to go see it. Just like a little kid that's just being mean and a jerk, you still love them, because it's still your baby and you want to go see it. And so it's so much easier sometimes to go and bury yourselves in work than it is to go home, just because we don't not like it. And so things that I had to do is start, training myself to realize that if I leave something undone, it'll still be there when I come back. And I think that's the important thing is understanding that if I stay late today and I finish it, that's fine and that's good and that's, pat yourself on the back worthy, but there's going to be another one in this place tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there always is, because in small business, and in business in general, the amount of work is endless. You fix one thing, and there's another, and there's another, and another. And that's not saying to depress anybody. It's there to say that good news is I think the first step is just realizing that if we leave something undone, it'll still be there tomorrow, and you can pick it up with a fresh mind. But how many of us become true workaholics and we work 80 hours a week and never go home because of the fear that it has to be done right now, and it has to be done by me, and it's more important. And it's just not true. And so for me, it was really controlling the schedule and saying, you know what, I'm willing to give it my all between these times. And so I set a clear boundary. I have a clear break in my schedule in the middle of the day. I have a clear stopping point at the end of the day. So I might be the one that is here the latest every night, but I do still have a point that I go home. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, it's on my calendar. Well, it's not always on there, but it's ingrained in me that, hey, it's this time. I need to be home at this time, so I've got to leave now. And if I didn't get it done, I didn't get it done.
You know, that's interesting. The entrepreneur mentality believes that the reward for all this hard work is somewhere down there. There's going to come time where it's going to be worth it all.
So true.
But think about it like profit. What we've learned in business is if you don't move the profit and take it out of the business and force the business to run on its overhead and direct costs, you're living a lie. Because you're spending the profit on things that should be covered by overhead and direct costs. You have to take the profit out of a company in order to not be living a lie, to be a true business person. You have to pay yourself. If you're not paying yourself, taking a regular paycheck, taking taxes out, getting a W-2, et cetera, you're running a fake business because you're not forcing the business to run on its own costs, and you're probably not pricing right. So, as you were saying that, I thought, you as an entrepreneur, you have to take the time away from the business and force the business to operate on, let's say, 8 hours a day. Force it to do that by leaving at 5 o'clock. And if it can't get, then you have to hire help, do help, cut something out. You have to do something.
You know,
that's pretty interesting.
Yesterday, I got a text message from an industry consultant guy that has another business in a different industry that he wants to talk to me about some different business things to work together. But he sent me a message at like 8:30. And he sent me a message like 8:30 at night, and he's like, hey, I just sent you this thing. Can you check it out and look it over and then call me? And I'm like, no, you know, like, no, I can't, you know. And the problem is the turmoil inside me as, you know, the baby owner here. The turmoil says, well, I need to do that because we're going to build something awesome. And I know we will, and I know it'll be great. But the thing is at 8:30, I'm putting my children to bed. And that's not his time. And I think that's what we have to remind ourselves is that, you know what, the email he sent me last night, it's still there. Right. It didn't disappear. It's still there. I just have to schedule that as a high priority, you know, but I have to schedule that into when? Into the 8 hours. Into the 8 hours. You know, or 10 hours. And the thing is there's nothing wrong with working 10 hours a day. I mean, for me, I'm here till about 6 o'clock every night. You know, and that's just it. And the reason I kind of picked that time is because that's usually the time that my children are like done with their homework and they're supposed to be getting off electronics and things. So if I go home, then there's actually time we can spend together. If I go home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm just going to be seeing a whole bunch of kids doing homework. I'm going to be seeing them doing electronic time, and that's not productive for me or them. It doesn't make any difference. Right. And so, in which case, 6 o'clock for me, if I walk in the door, is the time that we can hang out, we can go for a walk, we can have dinner, and really balance that life. So I'm okay helping entrepreneurs and small businesses work 20 hours a week if their business is at a place that it can sustain on that.
Right. You're not going to get to that usually for quite a while. At one time, the first time I read Lee Iacocca's book, which I've certainly probably read several times, one of the things he said was he would take his briefcase home Friday night, but he wouldn't open it until 5 o'clock Sunday evening. And of course, he was the CEO of Chrysler Corporation and vice president of Ford before that. And I told my boss that I was working for a big electrical company. And I said, Lee Iacocca he won't even think about business until 5 o'clock Sunday night. He says, Rodney, you don't have the staff that he has. And that's the truth. Now, I want to tell you what I think is one of the most important decisions I've ever made in my life for work balance. And that was in about 1990 when I just started my business, my first business. I also bought a boat. I wanted a family sport. I have 9 children at that time. I don't know how many I had, but we wanted to do something together. So we chose water skiing. Part of the reason, I had grown up water skiing. I love water skiing because it's something I love. We did it a lot. And so a lot of times we would go as much as 2 times a week to the lake, jump in the car and run to the lake. And we had no money back then, but we didn't believe we were broke either. So we did that. Then snow skiing when we could afford snow skiing. And so those were family sports.
Yeah.
So these are Melody's my daughter, Danielle's my daughter, Matt's my son. How many times have you water skied or wakeboarded?
Well, I do remember when we had the 5 o'clock ski club, and we'd go at 5 a.m. in the morning before school.
Yeah.
Even, right? So I've water skied and wakeboarded a lot.
A lot. You couldn't even count the times,
No.
could you? How about you? How many times have you been on the water? Any idea? Yeah. It's just, it's like we went all the time. We had dry suits for the fall, wet suits for the winter. So here's the point. We didn't really, I guess we kind of planned it because I said we got to have a family sport.
Yeah.
But if we hadn't done that, I just don't know. I can't imagine. Our family would be so different.
Well, with that, you probably would have worked more. I mean, honestly,
I'm
right?
sure.
Yeah. So if we're talking about finding that balance and spending more time with family and the things that we love, you have to look at what do you love? What do you want to do? You chose a boat for us, and now your whole family, we all love boating. And even in times when business wasn't great and there wasn't a lot of money, you had the boat already. You had the stuff already. You could still go to the lake, right? Even with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And then I remember many times carrying, because the marina gas was more expensive.
Yeah.
And so we would carry the gas cans, right, in the back of the truck. And I would anyway when I was a teenager, in the back of the truck, and bring them down to the boat and dump the gas in, It was an affordable way to have fun.
Yeah.
He didn't tell you we siphoned that out of the neighbors anymore, right?
No.
He didn't have to do that because there was other boats at the marina.
That's what that clear tube was for. That's what I was wondering.
Well, anyway, we certainly want to wish people a Merry Christmas, and we sure hope that you people will find those ways like we have, and we're not perfect, but find ways to. People talk about balancing work and family. Just invest in the family. Find a way to invest in the family in a way that makes you willing to say, you know what, this will wait till tomorrow morning. I'm going home, and get that time together.
Matt, after talking to contractors all across the U.S. and Canada on a daily basis, you've recently started coaching in a program that you developed called Freedom Builders University. How did that come about? What does it do? What problems did it solve?
Sure.
Why Freedom Builders?
Well, at the end of the day, we've been working in the small business realm, especially with contractors, for a very long time, in the new flat rate for over 10 years now. And we ran into some constants that, some of them, companies, we would help them become more financially stable, and they didn't know what to do with it. And then others, still, like we were talking about before, were just always chained to their business. It's like if they were operators and not business owners. And so if they weren't there, it wasn't making money. Or if they weren't there, it created problems, or they couldn't focus and they couldn't relax. And then at the end of the day, some of them, they just acquired a lot of money and lost their drive and their purpose. They just didn't know what was next. And so we realized that there was a need to help, and on 2 folds. On fold number 1, what really reminds me of elementary school. And in elementary school, you go from kindergarten to 3rd grade learning to read. But from 3rd grade on, you read to learn. And we realized that in small business, many people went out and started their small business because they had a skill. It didn't matter what the skill was. It could be making cupcakes. They were really great at making cupcakes. And so all their friends told them what?
You should start a cupcake business.
Exactly. But in reality, did they know anything about running a business? Not at all. They didn't know how to read. And so Freedom Builders focuses on 30 metrics to help understand where they are in their business life. And then we help them fill in those gaps, whether it's from the kindergarten through third grade or the third grade through college level, to fill in those holes on where they are so they can become better business owners. Now, we do this by working in 3 different areas. Number 1 is we help them straighten out their financials, not just on paper. I had one of our members the other day that's a new member. They just joined. They said, Matt, you're not just going to talk about our spreadsheets, right? And the thing is, why do they say that? Well, probably because they hate talking about their spreadsheets, and it doesn't mean anything to them. Right. And so, no, we're not just going to talk about their spreadsheets. We're going to focus on money in a world of helping them make more money, helping them be more profitable, which is really what we want, and then helping them control it on a daily basis on making wise business decisions. Now, we're not going to make those decisions for them. We're just going to give them the information. But then we learned that that's not the end of it. And so the next piece was what we call time. Is we need to work with small business owners to solve time problems from the work-life balance. We call that owner-free time, knowing when to go home. And we've been able to cut many of the members that have had their companies for 20 and 30 years already. They've joined Freedom Builders over the last 3 years and been able to decrease their work week hours, a lot of them by over 10 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And the thing is if you had an extra 10 hours a week, what would you do with it? Well, the beauty is you can do whatever you want with it. Right. You do whatever you want, and so that's up to them. But so we've been able to help decrease that work issue and stress. But time is also created by helping them manage processes. And so we focus on implementing process and writing process with the office staff, with the field staff, and even with upper management, and even on the helper level to improve efficiency and decrease fires. Because let's face it, as an owner, what burns up all your time? Putting out fires. That's right. And so if we can get rid of fires, then all of a sudden the time just materializes, and so it creates a lot. So Freedom Builders is about taking the money and then adding the time. And then the last piece of it is we focus on the metrics and the things that we can do in the world of what we would call impact. And a lot of people don't understand impact because it's a broad word, but impact is really about this. I like to explain it by telling business owners, impact will always cost you. And so not everybody thinks of it that way. It's something that will always cost you time and or money. Mm-hmm. And so if you're broke, you can't always have a huge impact. Yeah. If you are strapped to your business and you can never leave, you're not going to have a huge impact, because your impact is your effect on the people around you, on your business, your family, your community, and for many people, the world. Mm-hmm. And so we've learned that when we take these 3 things together and we're able to create a balance between them all, by just moving a couple of pieces. It doesn't have to be a lot, just moving a little bit. All of a sudden, we create this unison that provides what we would call freedom. The ability to walk away from your business at the end of the day and not worry about it until 5 o'clock on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's incredible. And so Freedom Builders is really designed to give you a business that you can fall in love with.
Absolutely.
How fun.
And on so many levels and so many resources. Right. I am a Hallmark
connoisseur.
What do you call it? Sucker. It's always difficult to pass up on the feel-good Christmas movies, and so I like them all. They're very predictable, but I know Home Alone was probably yours, if that's what you said. I don't know. Christmas movie, though? Honestly, I don't know that I have one. I like Hallmark movies. I
Great
watch them
answer.
with my daughter.
He's a Hallmark junkie. Well, nothing
know.
wrong with that.
Great
me
answer.
and Yarden watch them every year.
They're great.
So, Danielle, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas movie, I can sit here and spout off and say Die Hard, and it's controversial. People say it's not a Christmas movie, and I say, yes, it is. But I kind of actually, if I was going to deep down be honest, agree with Matt. Who doesn't want a good Hallmark Channel Christmas movie marathon?
Well, that's true. So mine really probably is Home Alone. And I do love the Hallmark movies. So for the Christmas season, I gave to my wife, I bought her the Hallmark Channel for
Aww,
Christmas movies.
that's fun.
And so we enjoy that. Now, before we go, I want to thank our sponsors. Today's podcast is sponsored by Jackson Systems. Thank you so much. Love those people.
Welcome to Storytime in the Field. Today's contractor is actually Rodney Koops himself. Check it out.
Well, you know, as a contractor for many years, I went to a lot of different seminars, conferences, expos, meetings, things that were organized for contractors to come learn and grow from each other, from speakers, etc. And you know what the problem was? I never felt like I fit in. I felt like I'm this little guy, I only got a couple of trucks, and these guys are all big, successful businessmen. And I was just a lot of times afraid to let them know who I really was. Well, so we're having a conference this week called Freedom Builders for our clients of the new flat rate. And what's happened here is we eliminate that up front. Just up front, it's like we all let down our guard, be who we are, and help each other. And then if you're that guy that's feeling insecure, feeling like, oh, we're just barely making it or whatever, well, guess what? You're probably not the only one. And then not only that, you'll have some that'll say, last year when I came here, I was just barely making it. I was scraping the bottom. I just needed so much help and advice. And so what happens is we're able to really share at a heart level and change our lives and our businesses. So that's really what's going on here. It's change. There's no pretense. Everybody just openly says, this is who I am and this is where I am and this is what I need. And we're all getting the help that we need. And it's just really, really exciting.
Wow, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Do you need people around you who are facing and conquering similar obstacles in their service companies? Hiring more technicians, creating processes in their company, learning how to increase service sales without pressuring your technicians or your customers? Then Freedom Builders University is right for you. Go to myfbu.com to learn more. Right now, myfbu.com.